All right, for more on the upcoming G7 summit and what's going on with Greenland, let's bring in foreign policy expert Michael Szanto. Thank you so much for coming on. So the G7 summit this weekend in France, the president attacking a European ally ahead of it. I mean, at this point, we should almost expect some controversy before the president goes on a big trip.
Unfortunately, yes, and every other day as well. However, let me say, I feel like this makes the people of Greenland and Denmark feel cheap and dirty. It's like throwing single-dollar bills at them. Who does that? Yeah.
Okay, that's some fighting words there. But I mean, on the other hand, it would be nice for America to have Greenland. I mean, he's not the first president to bring up this idea. Harry Truman also did. There are a lot of rare minerals in Greenland. It's in a strategic point. There's a U.S. military base there, and we know China wants a part of Greenland as well. So it's not such a crazy
I think that was a different
time.
No, I think that was a different time. Truman, after World War II, European countries, most of them were kind of devastated and poor, and we were far richer. We're still the richest country in the world, but the discrepancy was so big. I think this has the effect of just making them angry, and that really worries me because we have a very important nuclear missile warning base.
Yeah.
And so this plays entirely into the hands of Putin, because by itself, maybe not, but if they get angry at us, they could throw us out, and then we have a real problem. You know, of course, we have three.
You say play into the hands of Putin because what? Then they'll turn to Russia or to China?
Well, not even necessarily. We have 3 early warning stations, one in UK, one in Greenland, and one in Alaska, and we do need them. And so one would be down if they kick us out. And understand, that makes Greenland and probably Denmark, too, nuclear targets of Russia. So they're doing a lot. And by the way, this Denmark fought and died with us in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Sure.
So they don't deserve this. But yes, this is the way that Putin would love for us to undermine critical alliances. They're not going to sell. There's no way.
Let's talk about Putin, because the G7, he's not invited this year. I mean, Russia was kicked out over Crimea a couple of years ago. But now there are reports that President Trump and Emmanuel Macron are both in agreement that he should be invited to next year's G7 summit. I wonder, I could understand where President Trump would land on this issue, but why Emmanuel Macron? Why would he want to invite Putin to the next G7 summit, or G8 at that point?
That I can't really explain. You know, in the past, there have been French leaders who played both sides. Of course, Charles de Gaulle, who was anti-Semitic and anti-American, basically pulled out of the NATO military command. That's why we moved NATO headquarters from Paris to Brussels. I'm not sure exactly, but it's probably not a good idea because Russian aggression, destabilization, and possibly even support of terrorism around the world is expanding. So I don't think we should reward them right now.
Right, and then what kind of message would that send? Because again, they were kicked out over illegally annexing a part of Ukraine's territory.
And invading eastern Ukraine as well, and going into Syria and committing atrocities against Syrian citizens and really messing with us. Remember, February 2018, Russian contractors attacked U.S. forces in Syria. It was the worst battle between Russian and American forces since the 1950s, but thank God no Americans apparently died in the battle.
I guess if I want to take the president's view here would be that the U.S. has to work with Russia on certain issues, on Syria, on North Korea, on arms control. So is it better to totally isolate Putin or to bring him back into the fold of the international order?
I mean, it is a dilemma because, you know, when we take sanctions, it helps reinforce the claim of Putin that the U.S. is against Russia. I don't think Putin has any interest of being in an international order. I think he wants to bring it down. He's really, really hardcore KGB, and he never really abandoned that KGB ideology. But Russia also is a failed economy. They don't really, you know, can't become like Singapore or Japan or even China.
Right, they don't have that much money to spare. Well, we have about a minute left. What can we expect to see at this G7?
I mean, you know, really crazy stuff. I remember at one meeting, I think it was a NATO meeting, President Trump actually shoved the president of Montenegro. And then on Fox News, he actually attacked Montenegro as an aggressive country that was about to start war with Russia. So, you know, unfortunately, that's taken the center attention of these big economic and military summits. So
you're not very hopeful that, you know, I mean, because France is really concentrating on inequality. That's the pitch of this year's G7. But you think it might be all about Trump?
Well, probably we'll get the headlines, and inequality is quite a huge problem. I mean, I don't know how you solve it. Well, also the global economy is unfortunately looking iffy at this point.
Yeah.
So
lots of problems. All right, Michael Szanto, thank you for helping us understand a little bit more.
You're very welcome.